Good evening. Hello and welcome back to Chiefsman's Corner Live. I appreciate everybody giving me the mental health break I needed a couple weeks ago. I was supposed to come on a couple of weeks ago. Didn't have the mental energy for it, so I'm back now. I'll be interacting via YouTube chat if you're watching live. I also have Discord open. If you wish to join the show live, just be sure you make sure you mute yourself as you come in. I'm your host, Coach Winuvas, one of the leadership team here in WFL and the coach of the Chicago Bears. This show will go over Week 11 scores. It's Week 11 already, guys. This is ridiculous. Along with players of the podcast, as usual, we'll discuss playoff races in the NFC and AFC and finish out with our Ask the Chief segment. If anyone is tuned in, welcome aboard and leave comments for me to interact with. If you're watching this at any time, though, thank you for watching. Any and all support is appreciated. Without you guys, the WFL community doesn't exist. Now, normally the first thing I talk about is the incentive plan. For this show only, we're going to put that at point 2 because I want to take this time to thank anyone and everyone that put in to get me a gift card. It was very moving to see you guys bother to do that. It wasn't needed, but it was 1,000% appreciated. I want to thank anyone who donated or even thought about donating, because I know these are not the greatest economic times for everybody. It's tough for everybody to have a dollar to have. For you guys to put together and give me that was really appreciated. Thank you very much. So with that being said, now the second thing, which is normally the first thing I talk about, as always, is the WFL's incentive plan. This incentive plan allows you to get some perks that aren't available for every member simply by doing some extracurricular activities that involve WFL. Anything from Twitter to articles on the Neon Sports site to voting on Game of the Weeks to commenting or participating in this show, even chatting in Discord can earn you some sort of points. Anything that makes the WFL a more immersive experience and increases its presence in the Madden community earns you some sort of credit. A link to the incentive plan is available using the command /incentive plan. That is all one word, /incentive plan in Discord. You can also look up any of our custom commands in the help channel in WFL in the Discord. The next thing to talk about is our Ask the Chief form. You can use this form during the week between episodes to submit any questions you have for me, and I'll answer them during the show, giving you credit for the question. It's an easy way to build up incentive points and provide extra content for the podcast. You can use the command /askthechief to pull up the form in Discord. That is, once again, all one word, /askthechief in Discord. One last thing to discuss, because we are currently in Week 12 in Madden. Be sure to be ready for incentive plan forms for the end of season, because you will want to make sure that you get all the experience that you have earned through Twitter and all this other stuff. So be sure that whenever those forms start getting more announced in chat, be sure to go ahead and get those forms filled out as quickly as possible to make sure you get all the experience you're owed. So that way you can make sure you're not only set up for this off season, but for our simulated season, the first one in WFL history that'll be coming up shortly after the season ends. Awards will be coming up soon, so just get ready for everything. With housekeeping out of the way, we're going to get this show rolling, and we're going to get this show rolling the only way we know how, with highlights from Week 11. As I bring them up right now, here they are on screen. And as you can see, we start with a game between the Raiders and the Dolphins. And the Raiders win 20-10, taking the Raiders to a 7-3 record, which is pretty impressive, with the Miami Dolphins falling to 5-6. Coach Juicebox is having a little bit of trouble with Miami coming out the gate, but he's got them floating around 500 at this point of the season, which is pretty solid. In Week 11 action in the AFC North, between two foes that know each other well, the Ravens come out with an 8-point win over the Steelers. 21-13 is your final here. The Baltimore Ravens creep to 5-7 on the season, while the Pittsburgh Steelers fall to 4-6. In a game where, unfortunately, the Vikings were out of town. Well, I say unfortunately, he was on vacation. But the Tennessee Titans take the CPU Vikings to the woodshed. 43-24 is your final here. Tennessee gets their record to 7-4, leading the AFC South, a very competitive AFC South, at least at the top end. And the Vikings fall to 6-4 in a very muddled NFC North. We move on to cross conference action between the Rams and the Patriots, and this game ends in a 31-21 win for the Patriots over the Rams. The Patriots go to an odd record of 9-2-1 on the season, with their only tie being against the Texans, and the Rams fall to 6-5 on the season. The Buffalo Bills take care of business at home against the Kansas City Chiefs, winning 27-7. Meek Boy and his Bills move to 9-2, leading comfortably in that AFC division, or AFC conference, while the Chiefs fall to 2-8, struggling to find some answers in the new Madden cycle. Newcomer Ryan and the Commanders have a much vaunted victory over the Eagles in Tihu, 45-14 your final here. Commanders showing they mean business here, 9-3 on the season, leading the NFC East, as we'll talk about later on in our playoff preview, while the Eagles fall to 7-4. Not a shabby record in and of itself, but in a tough NFC East, that might mean the difference between wild card and maybe out of the playoffs entirely. Our new owner, John Wilson, was not here for this game. This was a simulated game. He just joined us at the end of Week 11. We welcome him to the fold. Welcome aboard, Mr. Wilson. Your team did win, though, 34-28 in the sim against the Lions, who are out on vacation. The Lions fall to 3-7 on the season, while the Jaguars bump above 500 at 6-5. In other Week 11 action, the Dallas Cowboys, in a simulated game against the Houston Texans, triumph 35-14 your final here. Dallas Cowboys move to 3-8 on the season, while the Texans fall to 3-8-1 on the season. In other action, we have in the NFC West, the San Francisco 49ers in too cold, going to 500 with I don't want to say a surprise, but a former Super Bowl or former WFL Bowl champion here in Chesky with the Seattle Seahawks. New team, however. But 28-21 your final here as too cold bumps up to 500, and the Seahawks fall to 3-7, trying to find answers in year one with that new roster. Week 11 action in a very, very, I don't want to say an upset, because Kendro and the Saints are a former Super Bowl, former WFL Bowl champ, but Rimster was been hot with the Browns, but he gets cooled off here. 31-17 your final here, as the Saints bump to 7-4 on the season, while the Browns fall to 8-2. Still a great record for the Browns in season one. In an offensive output explosion, the Colts and the Jets tussle, but the Colts come out on top 44-38 your final here. Lots of touchdowns in this game. Passing wise, I believe in this game, I want to say Anthony Richardson had, 6 touchdowns, and so did Aaron Rodgers, had 5 touchdowns. So we had a lot of passing touchdowns to go around, but the Colts come out on top 44-38 again. Your finals, Colts jump above 500 to go to 6-5, and the Jets fall to 3-8. In the game of the week, apparently the Falcons didn't get the memo that the game of the week means you should probably show up. Unfortunately, they did not show up. They've had a rough game, and Denver and Crazy Fast and the Broncos take them to town at home. 49-24 is your final. Atlanta falls to 6-5, still above 500 in a very tough NFC South, while Denver moves to 8-3. And in Week 11 action, okay, I'm going to put a preface on this. This is not my Bears. This is a CPU Bears team, because I was unfortunately unable to make this game. But the CPU Bears beat up on the Packers 60-38. Y'all, I haven't scored 60 points in a season, much less in one game. But in this game, the CPU Bears do make it a whooping, taking the Bears to 500 on the season at 5-5, going into a crucial matchup this week against the Minnesota Vikings. Green Bay falls to 3-7 on the season. And then our final game on the docket, the Chargers host the Bengals and bring them to task, 47-14 your final here. The Chargers move to 6-5 on the season, while the Bengals fall to 6-5 on the season. And there you have it, Week 11 action in the books, and that's pretty much it, which leads me to my players of the podcast. And since I've done some odd things so far as my intro, normally my intro starts with the incentive plan. It didn't this time. It was a special occasion. I'm doing something else kind of special. Normally, I try to do my players of the podcast from separate teams because I kind of like to shout out guys that I feel like, maybe don't get shouted out all that often. That's usually where I try and pinpoint while still maintaining quality stats. This time, I've got a shout out for one team in particular. It is the San Francisco 49ers. The San Francisco 49ers and Too Cold actually earned both the offensive and defensive players of the podcast. First time I've ever done this. For the offensive side of the ball, Brandon Ayuk at wide receiver had 6 catches for 146 yards and a touchdown in that 28-21 win. And on defense, I had my choice. I had Zaire Garner at defensive tackle, but I ultimately took Nick Bosa at defensive end, who had 3 tackles and 2 sacks and a fumble recovery, which was a scoop and score, and made the difference probably in that 28-21 win over the Seahawks. Zaire Garner also had 2 sacks, had 2 tackles, had the fumble cause. He had the forced fumble, but Nick Bosa ultimately gets the edge because of the scoop and score caused by Zaire Garner. But do be aware that a lot of 49ers contributed to that win in Week 11. And as we move through that, now we move on to playoff races. And I'm going to bring them back up on screen once again. Here's our AFC playoff matchup right now as it stands, updated as of an hour and a half ago. We have, oh, by the way, Cooley, I appreciate you listening in Marshall's parking lot. Thank you for that, by the way. Hopefully you're enjoying the show. We have the number 1 seed is Buffalo, currently sitting at 9-2, with Cleveland right on their heels in the 2 spot at 8-2, leading the AFC North. We have Denver leading the AFC West at 8-3, and we have Tennessee leading the South at 7-4. Right there, right behind them, at the 5th seed is 9-2-1, y'all. The 5th seed is 9-2-1. That's ridiculous. But Waffles and that Patriot squad is humming right now. Las Vegas is currently sitting in the 6th spot at 7-3, and right now you have a real tight race for that 7th spot. Currently, according to Neon Sports, it is showing the Chargers in that spot, but as you can see, there's a 4-way tie at 6-5 for that 7th spot. So it's all to play for still to make that 7 seed and get in the playoffs, and actually potentially even leapfrog Denver if Denver slides a little bit. You've got Las Vegas, you've got the Chargers sitting right there, and then in the South you've got the South, basically Jacksonville and Indianapolis are a game out. Unfortunately, Cincinnati is a bit back of Cleveland. They're 2 games back, so they're going to need to win and get some help. But that is still possible as well, because if anyone watched Rim, and I believe it was WFL Bowl 7 or 8, where he played Chesky, I believe, had a 28-0 lead and kind of let it slip away. Rim sometimes has issues closing out, so not sure how that's going to be interpreted. Maybe that's a little bit of bulletin board material for the Browns. Who knows? But that's the playoff race in the AFC, and as I scroll down real quick, you have to excuse me, I've got it really blown up, so I got to scroll all the way to the bottom here. We have in the NFC, we have the Washington Commanders at 9-3, leading the entire conference. They're the 1 seed right now, comfortably ahead of New Orleans, who is currently 7-4 in the NFC South. The Minnesota Vikings currently lead the North at 6-4, with the Rams leading the West at 6-5. But as you can see, that East is pretty tight. You have Philadelphia currently sitting at 7-4, 2 games back. And then you have distance. He's distant, but he's still there. Clyde's still there at 5-6. Still got plenty of time to make up some ground and get in there. Your current 5 seed is Philadelphia at 7-4, 2 games back of Washington for the division lead. Atlanta's currently sitting at the 6th spot at 6-5. And then you have a conglomeration of teams sitting in that 5-4 win ratio. Even Arizona there at 4-6 can easily jump in there and get to that 7th spot, currently held by San Francisco, which, as you can see, Chicago is there as well, although Chicago is run by me, so don't worry. I'm going to fall off like a rock once I actually get to playing again. The Giants are always a dangerous threat. Even though they're 5-6, they have a potential to jump in there. And obviously Arizona has a puncher's chance. I've seen him play. He's got some moments where he has some good offense, and he has some moments where he has some rough patches. But I think all those teams are quality except for Chicago, because they'll fall off. I know they'll fall off. I know their leader too well. But with that being said, now we're going to move on to we're going to move on to Ask the Chief questions. I'm going to go ahead and pull those up behind the scenes real quick. And as I'm pulling them up, do be aware, remember, again, Ask the Chief to get in on this. I only have one question currently on the docket, and that is this. Let me see if I can pull it up and get it big for you guys so you can see it. Our league is starting a lot of rookie quarterbacks. Let's see what's going on in here. Somebody joined. Oh, no, nobody joined. My bad. Sorry, I'm looking at the chat right now for Discord, so apologies. So right now we have Crazy Fast asking, our league is starting a lot of rookie quarterbacks. How would you rank them so far? Well, it's funny you mention it that way, because I know exactly how I would rank them. I would rank them exactly as Neon Sports ranks them. which is going to be pulled up here in just a second. Here, I've got to get to it to pull it up. Golly, come on now, Link, work for me. There we go. And there we go. Let's go ahead and pop that back up on screen. Boom. There you go. So Pat Daniels is overtaken. When I looked this morning, actually Jaden Daniels was head and shoulders above Pat Daniels, but Pat Daniels apparently played an extra game here this week and got in there. But he does have 25 interceptions, whereas Jaden Daniels has 23-7. Bo Nix currently 31 touchdowns to 7 interceptions. That's really good. Caleb Williams 22-11. Jeff Kent 20-7. That's a created quarterback that was brought over, rookie carryover from previous Madden for Cleveland. As you can see, those are the leads right now. Joe Milton III I kind of don't count because he has Drake May in the fold, and he's basically playing Joe Milton, just kind of placeholder it. But still 13-6 with 1,600 yards in 8 games played is not shabby at all. Any one of those guys are quality. I think right now as it stands, Rookie of the Year, if I had to say Rookie of the Year, I'd probably look at Bo Nix just because you look at the touchdown-interception ratio. Jaden Daniels, though, to be honest, he's leading his entire conference right now. He potentially could be in the MVP race right now. So there is that. Jaden Daniels, though, I do look at the touchdown-interception ratio here and say Bo Nix is probably having the better season, not turning the ball over as much. But both of them have phenomenal records and phenomenal play out of their quarterbacks. And also Jaden Daniels has thrown a lot more passes. Looking at this, you have about 90 more pass attempts than Bo Nix. But Bo Nix is right there completion-wise, a little bit off yardage-wise, but the touchdown-interception ratio really stands out to me. So I'd probably say that of these guys, I'd probably get Bo Nix the nod here. Jaden Daniels a very, very close second. Pat Daniels would be third at this point just on yardage, but, man, those interceptions look rough. And then probably Caleb Williams would be next on my list, with Jeff Kent being right there behind Caleb. So the number one pick in this past draft is probably fourth best quarterback in this list, which is where he's currently listed. So that is it for my Ask the Chief segment, because that's all I had questions for, was just that. So as I turn off this and come back on screen, I will jump straight into the outro, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in, whether you were live or with the recording. I appreciate it. The WFL community appreciates it. We hope you're entertained by the show. Let us know by throwing us a like, a subscribe, or leaving comments. Any feedback, good or bad, is always appreciated, guys. And until next week, when it's going to be a recorded show, the corner is closed.